Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, Hare Krishna, dear devotees, thank you very much for joining us today. We wanted to seek the blessings of the Supreme Lord and his devotees so that we can continue with the Sanatan Dharma Course. And today we wanted to talk about the three aspects of Godhead. Now, originally I was intending to talk about the different yoga systems which are available in order to progress towards spirituality. However, in order to understand the yoga systems, it's important to understand the different aspects of Godhead. So I will explain that a little bit better in a minute. So next week, hopefully we'll look at the different yoga systems like Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Stanga Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. But in order to really appreciate those yoga systems, we need to understand what are the different realizations of God. So that's what we want to do today, the three different types of realizations. Okay. Now, the first type of realization is related to the impersonal aspect of God. So here we've sort of indicated that Krishna is the absolute truth. Now, that the name Krishna can be substituted for Vishnu or Ram, is the one and the same person, just different form of the Lord. And the context of that is, let me just take you back a bit. The context of why we are saying Krishna is in Lord Brahma's declaration in the Brahma Samhita, where he's written or sang, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigrana Adhiradi Govinda Sarvakarna Karna, Brahma Samhita 5.1. Krishna, who is known as Govinda, is the supreme Godhead. He has an eternal, blissful, spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin, and he's the cause, prime cause of all causes. And he has many expansions, which include Ram, which include Vishnu. But within Sanatan Dharma, there are other thoughts as well, that Vishnu is the original supreme from whom Krishna came. Because if you see how he appeared 5,000 years ago in Mathura, it was Vishnu who came first and then transformed into Krishna. That's another view. And we don't necessarily argue with that view, because as far as we are concerned, whether we're describing Krishna as a supreme or Vishnu as a supreme, it doesn't really matter, because they both are the supreme. So one God, different forms. Good. Okay. So what are these three realizations of God, the three aspects of God? One is Brahman, that is the effulgence coming from the Lord. And the example given of that is that of analogies of sun. The sun is the analogy. Sunshine. From the sun comes the sunshine, right? So that sunshine, or the effulgence of the Lord, is regarded to be the Brahman conception of God. Now, these three concepts of God, they're all part of the absolute truth. However, the Brahman concept of God is incomplete. And we'll see that why is it incomplete in a little while. So what is this? Where does this Brahman come from? Right? It's the effulgence of the Lord. And in the Bhagavad Gita, this is wrong. Let me just change it right now. Oops, sorry. The reference is a little wrong. If you don't mind, I just spend a minute. It is 4.29. Oh, yeah. So let's just go back. In the Bhagavad Gita, 14.29, 14th chapter, last verse, Krishna says to Arjuna, Brahmano hi pratistoham amratasya yafyasya cha shashvatasya cha dharmasya sukhai sukhasvai kantikasya cha. I am the basis, I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman, which is immortal, imperishable, and eternal, and is the constitutional position of ultimate happiness. So if you see here, Krishna is explaining, Brahmano hi pratistaham, I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman. So that basically what the Lord is explaining is that his personal form is the basis of the effulgence of the Brahman. Just like the sun, from the sun comes the sunshine. So it's considered to be part of God, part of Godhead.
Without the form.
Without the form. It's just the light emanating from the Lord. And that's why it's considered incomplete. It's part of the absolute, but it's not complete because it is simply the effulgence of the Lord. The second aspect of God is Paramatma. And Paramatma is the localized aspect in the hearts of all living entities. What does that mean? Paramatma means where God, Vishnu, has expanded himself to be with every single living entity. So in this world only, Paramatma is present to be with us. So in this body, in your body, in Jayanti's body, in everybody's body, there are two souls. We are there, and there is Paramatma, the super soul. He's known as the super soul. And generally, he's regarded to be about 6 inches, generally speaking. So now Paramatma is also not regarded to be, although it is part of the absolute truth, it is one of the aspects of God, but it's not, again, the complete realization of God.
Doesn't exist in the spiritual world.
Doesn't exist in the spiritual world necessarily. And it's compared to be if you like, the sunshine is Brahman, and the sun surface is considered to be the Paramatma. So that is the analogy, just carrying on with the analogy of the sun. And then, good. Then the third aspect is Bhagwan. Not yet. Okay. She said she won't be late. And that is, Bhagwan is the part of the absolute, but the complete realization is within Bhagwan. That's the personal feature of the Lord. And this is described to be like the sun deity, Suryadev, for example. Suryadev, yeah. So these three concepts of God, or aspects of God, or realizations of God, is important to understand. And the reason why it's important to understand is because otherwise we may not have the full picture. A lot of spiritualists focus, for example, on light, and their meditation is light. So when they are sitting and focusing themselves, they focus on light, or Om, maybe, right? their realization is possibly going to be based upon the Brahman concept of God, that God has no form. So I am meditating on the impersonal form of the Lord, the light, the Brahma Jyoti emanating from the Lord. And whilst it is part of the absolute truth, so they are considered to be spiritualists, we still need to understand that that is not the complete understanding of Godhead. That's a partial understanding. There are many personalities who meditate, yogis who meditate within the Lord, on the Lord within themselves, right? Who is present within their body. And their realization is, if you like, focused on the localized aspect of the Lord, the Paramatma form of the Lord. And again, that is part of the absolute truth. Nobody's going to deny that, because that is part of the absolute truth. But again, it doesn't give a full, complete understanding of Godhead, supreme personality of Godhead. One who is focused on Bhagwan, yeah, a personal form of the Lord, and an authorized personal form of the Lord, not some so-called avatar who is actually not an avatar at all. That person will have a focus on the full, complete Godhead and focus on Bhagavan, basically. So this is important because we should know what we're focusing on, right? And how potent that is. Those who focus on the Brahman aspect of the Lord, it is generally explained that they want to merge with God. They want to become God. So there are many philosophies that teach. And I'll give you one example. The Sankaracharya, when he came some 1300 years ago, he propagated that we can become God through a process of meditation. And what that entails is, one, the Atma can become merged with the effulgence of the Lord through the Brahman realization. Merging with the Lord, effectively becoming one with the Lord, is not necessarily the highest realization of Godhead, because there are higher realizations. The Paramatma realization is a higher realization than the Brahman realization. And the Bhagwan realization is higher than the Paramatma and the Bhagwan and the Brahman realization. So we don't want to merge with God. We don't want to become God, if you like, because we never will be God. God is always God. We are always going to be Jiva. This merging is effectively merging with the effulgence of God. And what happens in that situation is one goes into not a void. It's part of the absolute truth, but one loses one's identity. But the soul is always individual. So whilst it is in this Brahman, it is inactive. It doesn't do anything. And that is not the constitutional position of who we are. We're active. The soul is always acting, wanting to do something. And when it's pure, when it's in the spiritual world, it wants to serve God, not become one with God. So this concept of meditating on light and merging with the Lord is regarded to be the last snare of Maya, that we can become God. So it's important to realize the philosophical basis of what we are saying, because there are many systems out there, yoga systems, which will promote this as the highest form of God realization. But actually it is not. It is considered to be the last snare of Maya, that the soul wants to become God. Now, let's see what's here. Yeah.
And also because the souls are inactive and they need to be active, there's a chance also of them coming back to the material world in order to engage again in service.
Okay, so this is quite, in order to delve into the yoga systems, it's important to understand these three aspects of Godhead. And this may be a new concept for many, many people on the call today. So we'll give a little extra time for questions, because this might just question your whole belief system. And I will understand if there are, it's a little controversial. Now, why is the Paramatma considered to be higher than the Bhagwan realization? Because Paramatma, as Jayanti explained, Paramatma exists as the localized aspect in everybody only in this material world. When we are returned back to the spiritual world, we will be in our spiritual form. We won't have a material body, we'll have a spiritual body. And in that spiritual body, we will be engaged with the Supreme Lord, Bhagavan, in service, in seva. Okay, good. And now, the yogis, they will focus on this localized aspect. Nothing wrong with that. Far better than focusing just on light. Nothing wrong with that, because one is focused on the Lord, who's extended himself from the spiritual world.
On the form of the Lord.
On the form of the Lord, that's right. But because it's localized, it's regarded not as effective or powerful as the Bhagwan realization, not as complete as the Bhagwan realization. Why is the Bhagwan realization complete? Because ultimately, everything emanates from the Bhagwan concept of God. And when we say Bhagwan, we're saying the personality of Godhead. Some people say, oh, you're reducing God to a person by claiming that he has a form. No, we're not. His forms are unlimited. He has millions and billions and trillions of forms. Although he's one, he can expand himself unlimitedly. So according to the Brahma Samhita, again, this is not something that we've made up, or it's according to what we're thinking. But this is according to 3 scriptures. This is according to 3 scriptures. One is the Brahma Samhita. Second is the Srimad Bhagavad Puran. And third is Bhagavad Gita. There are many other scriptures which also back this up, but these are the 3 principal scriptures that we've sort of learned and been taught, giving this information. And these scriptures, especially the Srimad Bhagavatam, is regarded to be the highest Purana, a commentary, natural commentary on the Vedas. So very, very authoritative scriptures. So it's describing that the original form of God is Krishna, from whom the first expansion is Balaram, from whom expands this quadruple expansion, from whom comes Narayan, who resides in Vaikuntha, from whom comes this second quadruple expansion, from whom descends Sankarsan. From Sankarsan comes the first of the three Vishnus. The first Vishnu is called Karadaksha Vishnu, who manifests himself on the ocean, or casual ocean, and from his breathing emanates all the different universes, and then from the pores of his skin, and then into every universe expands Garbhodaksha Vishnu, from whom Brahma sprouts up from his lotus flower, from his navel. And then there's the third Vishnu, which we've talked about, where Kshirodaksha Vishnu expands as Paramatma into every single living entity. So these are three. This is the Bhagwan conception. So one may be attracted to Krishna, one may be attracted to Balaram, one may be attracted to Ramachandra, or Vamandev, or Nrsimha. Absolutely fine, because they're all part of that Bhagwan realization. It doesn't mean if one is not a devotee of Krishna that one is falling short of spiritual realization. Not at all. Not at all. I didn't want to go through that. This is I put this in, but I didn't really want to go through it. But this gives a lot more description of the different types of avatars. So on one of our sessions, hopefully we'll go through all the different types of avatars. For example, there's Leela avatars, Purusha avatars, Guna avatars, Saktavesh avatars, Manvantara avatars, Yuga avatars, and they all origin ultimately from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. So I think, yeah.
Also, with the Bhagwan aspect as well, you have 5 different relationships which you can have with Bhagwan, which again, we will go into detail in another session. See, with Brahman, there's no relationship with his effulgence. So again, that makes it difficult as well to relate to the absolute truth. If you have a relationship with someone, for example, in this material world, you have a relationship with either your spouses, your family, your boss, your pets. You have a relationship with everyone, and you're also serving everyone in some aspect. So with the Bhagwan realization as well, you are serving in one of the different relationships, and the relationships could be neutral, like a tree or a grass, a friend, a servant, a parent, or a lover. So you could have any of those relationships with Bhagwan, which is very difficult in the Brahmanic aspect. There's no relationship.
And in the Paramatma, because Paramatma will be very formal relationship, whereas in the Bhagwan relationship, we can have
a sweet relationship.
Yeah, different types of relationships. Very good point. Thank you. Okay, so let's take some questions, because this is quite an important aspect to understand, but it may just go against the grain of what you've been taught or understand. So firstly, in the chat, we'll come to you in a minute, Kishori and Ishwari. In the chat, there's a question from Kishore. Yeah. When souls are inactive, which world they are likely to be in, either with the living entities or spiritual world, etc.? What are the qualities of inactive soul? You want to answer?
Okay, so the Brahmanic aspect is also part of the spiritual world. It's not in the material world. So you do go to the spiritual world. But as I mentioned earlier, because you're inactive, you could fall back into the material world to again be active and try and realize your relationship that you originally had with the Lord. So from the Brahman effulgence, you could either remain there forever, or you could fall back into the material world. So it is part of the spiritual world. It's not in the material world, but that is what happens. And the qualities of inactive soul, I don't think there is anything, because you are inactive. You're not doing anything in that Brahman effulgence, really. But because your nature is to be active, then you would get frustrated there. And again, that would make you fall into this material world.
Yeah.
But it's very difficult to go from the Brahman effulgence into Vaikuntha, because you haven't built up that relationship with the personal aspect.
That's good. Yeah. The soul in effect loses its individuality when it enters the Brahman concept of life. So, and the whole nature of the soul is to be individual. There is another aspect of the soul who don't reach the spiritual world, but at the time of devastation, all the souls become inactive and they go into the body of Mahavishnu. And then when the next cycle of creation takes place again, they all come out with their desires, material desires, and continue with their karma. So there is that aspect of the soul as well. So thank you for that question, Kishore. It's very
I'm here. Sorry.
Yes, I know. Thank you, Pari. Very good. Excellent.
Let me know when you want me to start the...
Yes, we'll do it a little early because it's going to take a little longer, right?
Yes.
So maybe we just take a few more questions and then we...
That's fine.
Ishwari Kishori?
Yes, Prabhuji.
How many questions have you got?
10.
Okay, let's take maybe 2 or 3 and then we'll go to Bakula Ben. And anybody else who's got any questions, and then we'll come back to you. Go for it.
Does the super soul give you advice?
Its function is 3 or 4-fold. 1, it's witnessing what we're doing. 2nd, it's guiding. So that's the advice bit. 3rd, it's protecting. There's a 4th. So I think those are 3. It's witnessing what we're doing. It's guiding us. So, that little voice in the head that says, don't do it. That's usually the Paramatma saying, don't be stupid. And so
carrying us, isn't
it? Guiding, yeah, that's the guiding bit. Witnessing and protecting. And Paramatma is always protecting us. I don't know if you've heard this fable, the Christian fable, where in the sand, this man goes back to God and he's seeing his life. And it's like on a sandy beach and there's 2 footsteps, two sets of footprints, except when he was having difficulty in his life. And then there was only 1 set of footprints. And he asked God, where were you when I was in my difficult times? I only see 1 set of footprints. And God said to him, actually, that was me carrying you. That's my footprints carrying you. So this is the function of the super soul.
Can anybody understand the Lord?
Wow. Brilliant question. No.
Even he can't.
The most amazing thing is, what to speak of the great yogis, the devotees, because God's qualities are always expanding, always increasing. He himself doesn't understand his own nature. sometimes, right? And again, there's a very nice example. One time in Dwarka, Lord Krishna happened to see his image in the mirror, and he looked at himself and he was thinking, wow, who is this amazingly beautiful person? He himself was bewildered by his own, his qualities are always increasing. This is the dynamic aspect, not just of God, but of us as well. The soul is very, very dynamic, following in the footsteps of God. So this is one of the most incredible aspects of spirituality.
Can Radharani understand him?
Yes, but he can't understand Radharani. She has probably the closest relation. She's the internal, she's the Hladini Shakti, the internal potency of the Lord. She probably understands him better than he does himself. Yeah?
Yeah. Correct. Yeah.
But her,
No
one can understand. Even Krishna has. That's why he comes as Chaitanya. Next Friday, this Friday coming up, in fact, is the birthday of Lord Chaitanya, Gaura Purnima. It's also Holi. But we celebrate Gaura Purnima in a much, much more festive way than Holi. So he comes as Chaitanya because Krishna was trying to understand Radharani's love for him. How can this amazing personality love me so much? He wanted to understand and taste that love himself. The only way he could do it was by stealing her bhav, her mood. And he came as Chaitanya. And her mood, she overpowered him. He came as in golden form, as opposed to his blackish, normal blackish form. And his life is fascinating. Thank you. I will come back to you. Bakula Ben, did you have a question?
Question. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Right. Going back to your chart, it's the analogy, it's showing the sun. Is it only example we could use on the sun, or can we use anything else, like a smell of flowers and looking at the flowers?
Yes, you can. Absolutely. The sun is just
Easiest aspect.
easiest one to understand.
Right. Okay, that was my question, because I know sun is the powerful and we can always visualize sun. But is there anything surrounding us? It's like we can smell the flowers, even the flowers are not front of you. The smell always travels, yeah. So I was just thinking, can we use any of the other energies in which we can put it exactly the same way?
Yeah. The flower is a good example as well, because you can physically have the flower there, and you can smell it in the room, and yeah, that's a good example as well. Good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Fulaven. Well thought through. Ashwin Bhai.
Jai Shri Krishna.
Jai Shri Krishna, Ashwin Bhai.
It is a hard concept to grasp.
It is.
I'm glad you've sort of exposed us to it. Where I am at, I'm a simple man. I just wanted to understand, where do I fit into this?
You are in the Bhagwan concept, because you worship the Supreme Lord as a personality. You have this most amazingly beautiful temple in Crawley, and whatever you have done, the Lord will be so pleased with you. You're not in a place where you think you can become God. You have this natural humility, although you are so a qualified person. Just today we were talking about you, and Rajiv Bhai was saying, we learn so much from you every time we talk to you. So
the supplementary question is, what is lower than Bhagwan?
Well, Bhagwan is the beginning step of spirituality. So that's the beginning of spirituality. So what is lower than Bhagwan is somebody, for example, who lives in the heavenly planets, in Brahmlok, for example. who or Shivlok. Shivlok is probably regarded to be, yeah, Shivlok is probably there. Shivlok is probably below Brahmlok. It's Brahman. Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, well done.
So if the yogis fit into Paramatma,
yeah, where would they go?
Yeah, I mean, yogis are generally people who have given up life. They go and spend time meditating and praying and nothing else. They don't have anything else. No.
Correct.
They don't have any possessions or family or anything like that. They fit into Paramatma.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yes, they would, because they'll be focused on the Lord within themselves, and they try to increase their meditative powers. And their destination is the spiritual world, for sure. But they may not have like Jayanti was explaining, a personal relationship with the Supreme Lord on like a one-to-one basis. So they will perhaps, this is a generalization, but in Vaikuntha, they may appear as grass, having a neutral relationship with the Lord. The grass is enjoying the activities of the Lord, but not participating in the activities themselves.
So the Kathakaraks that we have, Morari Bapus and others, would they fit into Bhagwan or Paramatma?
It just depends on their personal realization of God. We couldn't tell because it's very personal to them.
Okay.
Only one I would say to you is if somebody is simply focusing on light and not taking into account the personal aspect of the Lord, they're more than likely to be in the Brahman realization.
Okay. Good.
Thank you. No, thank you for your questions. So Ishwari Kishori, maybe we can take a couple of questions and then you can please write your questions and then I'll love to always address them in future sessions. Huh?
Prabhuji, one question before they
yes, Pari.
Before they flood you again. So if someone was fasting on Ekadashi, like today, it's a special day to fast, right? So what if like on accident they end up breaking their fast?
Oh, you're very lucky because Ekadashi is tomorrow.
Oh, is it tomorrow?
There is Ekadashi today, but should the Ekadashi, the Ekadashi that is pure is tomorrow. Is Dwadasi, sorry. Because there's a little element of Dwadasi in Dasam today. Dasami today. So actually, if anybody does break the Ekadasi by accident,
they can do it on Dwadasi.
They can do it the next day.
Ah, okay. Thank you.
But also, if you do break it and you can't do it the next day, you just have to pray to the Lord, my dear Lord, by accident, I have broken my fast. Please forgive me.
Okay, thank you.
And also, when we have the Nirjal Pandav Ekadashi in June,
yes,
that is especially for those who have accidentally been unable to do Ekadashi during the year as well. Because like he couldn't fast on any Ekadashi, so he was allowed to just fast on that one only. And it said it's like doing all the other 23 Ekadashis.
And how old do you have to be to fast?
Completely or Ekadashi?
Ekadashi.
Like any fast, or I mean to be honest, any fast generally.
5.
Yeah,
5 plus.
yeah, but you know, sometimes like devotee children, they follow Ekadashi right from birth, because there's so much variety to eat as well on Ekadashi, so they're not really, you're not missing out. So it is good if you're able to fast right from birth, but ideally from 5 onwards is when you should really start fasting.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Pari. Ishwari, yes. Maybe
Why does Maya exist?
only because of us. This material world was created only for us, so that we can, this is like a hospital. And well, there's two analogies, hospital or prison. So the question you asked, why does Maya, is because we are in a prison. The prison is there for those who have gone against the laws of society. And the prison is meant to reform that person to go back into society. So similarly, we've gone against the laws of God. We've become envious of God. So we've been put into this prison of Maya to become reformed and go back to the spiritual world. So Maya is created for us, to reform us, and ultimately to send us back to the spiritual world.
And she also tests us that we are eligible to go back as well. So she has a dual aspect, to keep us here and also to test us to make sure we're eligible to go back to Krishna.
Thank you. I just saw somebody put a question in the chat. So
Thank you. Well, you're such a good girl. What is absolute minimum requirement of Ekadasi? Oh, that's Ashwinbai. Okay, so actually, if you don't mind, Ashwinbai, that'll take some time. We can do this as one topic together with festivals, special days. So that we'll cover this topic of Ekadasi in a session about special days, if that's
okay.
right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Really good. Okay, I think now
Pari, you want to put the
I think Pari,
details for the
but
quiz.
I think this time it's, how are you going to run it, Pari? Oh, okay. So you got to, it's a different quiz.
Yeah, so I can just, so they can click on the link and I can just, like, we can just quickly run through the questions. I feel like with the children, it took more time. I feel like adults, it will take less time because they're able to understand the questions, but we can still go through it. I mean,
okay, no, that's good. That's good. And if we have time at the end, we can take more questions from Ishwari Kishwari. Hope you don't mind, Ishwari Kishwari.
Oh, we don't mind at all. We both have external devices, so we don't usually click on the link. So what app is it?
Oh, okay, yes. It is.
It says go to quiz, GOTOQUIZ.com, COM.
Or Ishwari and Kishori, do you want me to send it? Do you want me to send the link on WhatsApp so then you can
Just
send
click
it?
on that.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, I have found it.
Okay.
Yeah, we found it. Where do you enter the code?
It's actually not a code. It's like a little. It's just it has its own unique link.
Okay, so we'll just copy what you've put.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, and you can share the screen.
You click on it as well.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Shall we do it? Okay, let's try.
So basically, this one is talking about what material mode you're in to work out what we were discussing last week.
Very good point.
It's going to look like.
Now, this one, we have to be, nobody's going to know what you are scoring. Is that right, Pari?
Yes. I can't see because, I can't see who's getting what.
But try and be as truthful as you can so you can work out exactly where you are.
The more truthful we are with the answers, because you'll be the only ones knowing the answers. The more truthful we are, the more a better idea of we'll understand where we are within the three modes. If you remember last week, is ignorance, passion, and goodness. And ignorance is somewhere we don't want to be, and I think nobody will be in this forum. But there's passion and goodness. So I know the children were very optimistic in many of their answers. But as adults, we will understand, look, actually, I fall short in this part. So be truthful. And at the end, you'll find a score. And again, that will be only for you to know. so that you can determine, okay, this is where I am and this is where I need to be. So shall I leave it to you, Pari, to go through the questions?
Yes, please. And feel free to help me if I'm not able to answer a question.
No, you'll be absolutely fine. You're a professional quiz master.
Okay. So yes, so I think Babaji's given a perfect sort of summary of what this quiz is. And it's going to show you which mode you are in most of the time. So which mode is predominantly up to you. And so the first question is, what do you do when performing sacrifice? Do you perform faithlessly and chant no hymns? Do you perform under guidance to please the Lord? Do you perform with duty and no expectations, or perform proudly for benefit? I'll do it along with you guys. I mean, I don't really mind anyone seeing like what I'm getting. And then
Kishore, you have your hand up. And
oh,
we copied the link and it says the file is not found.
okay.
Did you type in this bit where after go to quiz.com and then the / which mode are you in bit?
Yeah, it says 404 and file not found.
Oh man, you're being serious.
We've managed to open it up properly. Anyone else having issues?
Is everybody else actually doing the quiz?
Yeah, I can access it.
Okay.
Guruji, I can able to access it and I've submitted my quiz, Guruji. We need to just copy the link, Guruji.
Yeah.
You're too fast, Purnima.
No, Guruji, because I don't want to mess up, because after this 1 hour, it is so tight on a weekend. So that's all, Guruji.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Well done.
Anyway, carry on,
Pari.
Pari.
Prabhuji, can we get a little more explanation on the question? Because I mean, if we talk about austerity, right? I'm not sure if I'm doing any austerity as of today. So
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, austerity, what I understand is in old days, right? There were yogis who used to sit for years and do tapasya sort of thing, right? But I don't think on day-to-day basis I do any sort of tapasya.
In Ekadasi, in Kali Yuga, our austerity is doing Ekadasi.
Fasting, chanting.
Yeah, correct. So that's what, can we get a little sort of context to the question in that way?
Good point.
Prabhuji, essentially, an austerity is basically, it's a disciplined sort of spiritual practice. So it's like sadhana. So like Ekadashi is also a type of sadhana because we're fasting for the Lord. Janmashtami also you can count. Then we have Balaram Jayanti, all these type of festivals where we're basically doing sadhana, because I mean it depends obviously on I guess if you don't do anything then you're not really performing it. So you could say perform with faith or for no benefit, or you could say perform to gain honor or respect. I mean it depends. So if you do fast on Ekadashi or any sort of other festival, then I guess you'd know better. But yes, an austerity is basically sadhana. And Ishwari and Kishori, if it's not working this time, don't worry, because I think you did it with the other class, like when we did it last time anyways.
Yeah, they have, yeah, true. Okay, now Harish, if there's anything else that needs clarification, just
anyone else who needs clarification,
otherwise
just let us know.
Yeah, otherwise Pari, please carry on.
Okay. What type of a worker are you? So this could be I mean, I don't think there's any students here, but I'm a student, or it could be whatever sort of job you're working in. So when you do your duty, do you do it lazy or materialistically, so like to gain the end benefit? So your salary, for example, you're working for salary, or you're doing it free from attachment, and you're not bothered if you succeed or fail, are you attached to the fruits? So that's basically, again, doing it for salary, or are you doing it to just serve the Lord? Like while you're working, you're taking the Lord's name. So what do you renounce? Basically, what do you give up? And like renunciation is, Babaji, this one's hard. I need help. This one, I don't know how to explain it. I guess.
Duties for satisfaction. So you doing your duties to satisfy the Lord. So you basically doing your work, whatever, to satisfy the Lord.
What would you say about the renunciation one?
Yeah, the question is, what do you renounce? I think the question may not be quite appropriate. The question probably should be, how do you renounce? How do you renounce? What do you do when you give up something? Right?
Yeah, I guess this question is basically in regards to what do you do when you're basically renouncing material?
Let's say, yes, renouncing your duties. For example, are you doing this one? You're not doing your duties because of illusion, or are you doing your duties because they should be done? Are you doing your duties because if you don't do it, you're gonna get smacked? Or are you doing it for the Supreme Lord? So just depends on those four. The question doesn't sound right, but the answers are right.
Yeah. What type of knowledge do you have? So, I mean, attending these sessions, I guess you could say you have knowledge that shows that soul is different from the body. And then you could also say you have the second one. Which one do you think you have mostly, though? So which one do you apply as well in your real life? So is it the first one? Is it one that enables you to see that you are all servants of the Lord? Is it one that is unrelated to the Supreme Personality? It's just, about how things work in this world, about the material world? Or is it just self-consciousness and it's like basically I guess you could say the last one refers to like school knowledge. So this is just about how your body works, just simple things like that. So it's nothing, it's all that one's also sort of detached from the Lord.
Yeah, good.
So the sixth one, which actions do you commit to? Basically, what are most of your actions showing? Are you irresponsible and violent? Are you committing actions that are beneficial to you? Are you doing actions that are solely for the Lord, or ones that are related to duty without attachment?
It's a really nice, it's an easy one as well to sort of pinpoint where what are we normally doing? Is it for ourselves? Is it destructive? Is it because we're doing our duty or pleasing the Lord? Thank you.
So so the seventh one is a fairly easy one. Which time of the day do you prefer? Early morning, afternoon to evening, night, or any time when serving Krishna? The eighth one, what is your understanding? So I guess, again, it could link to knowledge. What is your understanding from what you learn? Are you someone who cannot distinguish between religion and irreligion? So you basically can't tell what is right or wrong. Are you someone who considers wrong to be right and something beneficial to you? Do you know what is liberating and what is binding? So you know the difference between both. And are you someone who always considers Krishna through personal realization? So what, again, what type of determination do you have? Determination. So it's like basically referring to your mental strength. Are you someone who, like, in your mind you're always daydreaming and always, you know, sort of imagining things? Are you unbreakable, and are you steady? Are you in control? Is your mind always fixed on the fruit or money or sort of fame, self-gratification? Or is your mind fully engaged in Krishna and not deviated?
So sometimes there may be some challenging situations that come our way. So what is our determination like in those situations?
Where does your happiness lie? So what do you find that you are happy in most things about? So are you mostly happy when you're sort of comfortable, when you're lazy? Are you happy when you are receiving material objects like gifts or it could be anything? Are you most happy when you're serving the Supreme Lord? Or are you happy when you are in control of your mind? Again, the 11th one is pretty straightforward. What is your favorite color? What type of charity do you give? So one that you expect to get something in return for. So if you give charity, do you expect that someone will give you something back? Do you give it as a duty with no expectations? So you're giving it just for just to, you know, give it to the person. You have no expectations for it afterwards. Are you giving it to satisfy the Lord? So under Krishna, are you giving it? Or are you giving it to someone who's unworthy of it, that you know that this person's going to go spend it on gambling or drink, any bad things like that? Which type of food do you prefer? Tasteless, unclean, any sort of meat or fish, too spicy, too sour, salty or pungent, nourishing fruit or vegetables, or prepared by devotees and offered to the Lord? So the 14th question now. Who or what do you worship? Do you worship? So what, I mean, worship could come under many terms. I mean, I know a lot of people who have like celebrities and things on their like posters of them on their wall. That means you worship them because you look up to them. So do you worship celebrities or rich sort of people, entities? Do you worship the demigods? Do you worship Krishna directly? Or do you worship ghosts and spirits? And the last question, what characteristics or manifestations do you possess? So if you were to sort of critique yourself, what qualities do you think you have? So do you have knowledge that opens like the gates of your body and you know what knowledge is illuminating? Do you have characteristics that that you know they will like sort of encourage you to always be in this material world and always work hard for like material desires?
And wanting lots of different things. I want this, I want that, I want this.
Yes, exactly. Do you have characteristics like, you know, illusion, darkness, laziness, inertia? Or do you have the characteristic of unfailing devotion to the Supreme Lord? So after you're done, you can submit and then you can see what. Okay, well, everyone's seen my score now. I'm just gonna stop sharing really quickly.
That's good.
I'm joking, it's fine. I think 78% is fairly all right, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's very good. Considering you started your spiritual life, you're so young, so it's very good. Generally, the youngsters will have
higher
scores because they're very innocent yet in the ways of sense enjoyment, etc. Kishan, how old are you?
Hi, Prabhuji. Actually, I am Kishan's mom, Smita.
So you got 97%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
My goodness. By 80%.
Well done. You don't have to publish the scores, by the way. I got something like 40%. No. Okay. Very good. Thank you so much for sharing. So we got a few minutes. So, oh no, we haven't. 2 o'clock. Thank you very much, everybody. Next week, we will try to do the yoga systems. We got a little bit of a busy week, but hopefully we'll get to it. So looking forward to seeing everybody next week. Thank you for joining. Thank you for sharing and taking part. And thank you especially to Pari taking us through that quiz. It's a really amazing quiz, actually. So
thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Ishwari and Kishwari, for wonderful questions.